1923 Main Street.
Home of everything to do with travel in style. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Belobradic.
And I'm Amelia Belobradic. And today, Surfer Style. How to learn to surf in Florida, Hawaii, California, and anywhere else.
If you go to our blog on our 1923mainstreet.com website, we just posted an article about the 10 best places to learn to surf on vacation. So if you want to travel, take a vacation, and take a surfing lesson while you're there, check out that article. There's 10 great places around the globe to do that.
Yeah, there's so many options, and it's such a fun activity to do when you're near water.
And we thought that's what we're doing this week. We thought, you know what? Let's follow it up with 3 places that between Amelia and I, we have taken surfing lessons and learned to surf all within the U.S. So close to home. If you live anywhere in North America, these are easy to get to. 3 places where you can take a lesson and learn to surf in style and have some fun while you're doing it. And, you know, the first question people often ask, including myself the very first time I went, is, do I even need to take a lesson?
Well, I do feel like if you want to actually surf, that you may benefit from that.
And the other
if you
part
want to catch
of it,
a wave.
let me tell you, my story specifically was, this was in my very first time, was in Florida around Cocoa Beach. And I went into a surf shop, a little bit maybe arrogant, because I said, you know, I know how to snowboard and skateboard, so won't I just be able to surf? And the guy behind the counter gave sort of a knowing look to his buddy. And he said to me, just remember, in those sports, the terrain is not constantly changing under your feet. And,
valid
very
criticism
valid
of
point.
you.
And I ate a lot of sand on that trip. And I got my head smashed underwater many times.
Yep.
And then took lessons different places after that. But
couldn't show your face there to take a lesson.
And the one thing, would you agree with this, that it does help if you snowboard or skateboard or both, is A, balance, and B, you're going to know your stance.
Oh, it definitely helps, but it's still a struggle. Like with the amount I was struggling, and I would consider myself pretty athletic. If I had never snowboarded or skateboarded before, I think I would have been flat on my back in the sand the entire time.
Yeah, you know, there's...
I don't think I would have even stood up.
Knowing whether you're goofy or regular is important. It saves the teacher some time. So you're going to know that if you snow or skateboard. And you'll also know generally how to balance, but this terrain changing under your feet part does throw a little hook to that.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But you will be better off if you do, but you won't be get up and go. Definitely not without a teacher and with a learning surfboard. So surf lessons, they do a few things before we get into the 3 places. One, you're going to learn safety. It's well worth having an instructor talk to you about how to pop up, how to stand, how to avoid wipeouts, bad wipeouts.
Or even if you have a friend that knows what they're doing and it's good, that can be valuable as well. I just wouldn't recommend going by yourself with the help of YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. We're talking about you're on vacation somewhere and you're going to take a surfing lesson. So unless you have a surf friend with you, then, you know, an experienced person, that's not going to really help. It will help with your confidence having an instructor. And listen, you're going to want to get photos or videos of this thing. So you're going to have...
are you?
You're going to have your confidence.
Are you going to want that?
Well, you know what is almost a guarantee? First of all, any one of these surf places, surf schools, they have the right beginner foam style boards, which makes a huge difference than not what I did. I went out and bought like a 6-foot shorty fiberglass board on top of all that on my first time.
I think that would be better. I genuinely think the longboard was worse for me.
The longboards are more buoyant and it's, you know, easier to stand on.
Yeah, but like the thing is, I'm used to a smaller board.
Yeah, but the better you get, then you can size down. But people still have fun on longboards. That's where they do hang 10 and things when they're really good. Anyway, you will get up. If you take a lesson, you will get photos. It's virtually a guarantee. So remember all those things. Yes, it's worth taking a lesson. Now, let's dive in. Do you want to go in the order the places you took lessons, Amelia, or?
Sure. Well, these are my first 3 experiences, and hopefully I have many more, you know, same places, different places. Very exciting.
So we'll start with Amelia's very first surf lesson and first surf experience.
Waikiki Beach, Hawaii.
Yeah, it was just outside of Waikiki Beach, actually, just north.
I think the surf was a little bit better there.
It's sort of, but Waikiki Beach is really crowded.
Yeah.
We were staying up the coast, just sort of northwest on that side of the island. So we took a surf lesson. Actually, Amelia did. And you were very young for your first one.
Yeah,
How old
I think
were you?
I was 6.
2014 it was.
Yeah, I was 6.
So 6 years old.
Obviously, the expertise, questionable. I had been snowboarding for a couple of years at this point, but I don't really know what
so
good
you
that did
had
that
your
me.
balance. You knew your stance.
Yeah.
So these beaches in Hawaii, it is a great place to learn to surf. And I've surfed on a few islands there. I also took a lesson in Hawaii on Kauai Island and surfed on Maui. So, every one of these islands has beginner waves like Waikiki Beach and up the coast from there. Gentle, easy rolling waves. And what would you say about your first time surfing?
I mean, I thought that I was incredible. I thought that I was a pro. I thought I was fabulous. It was a really fun time. I was also 6, so I think everything felt more like stimulating, more exciting, but it was amazing. It was beautiful. The water wasn't too cold compared to some other places I've surfed more recently. It was a very nice temperate experience.
Yeah, we'll get to those in a minute. But no, there is something to be said about learning to surf where it all began on the Hawaiian Islands.
I don't know, it just felt very peaceful, even when I was, crashing into the wave and failing.
And,
very serene experience.
After my episode I told you about in Florida, my second time surfing was in Hawaii, on Kauai, and I did take a lesson, and wow, night and day. Those waves are a little bit bigger, but still, the instructors know and the surf schools know where to go, even if it's not a point break or something that's always consistent. They know where to go. They take you on good waves. That's another good thing. You're not guessing. There's no hidden reefs to cut your face on when you fall and things like that.
And, I've had instructors go, the lifeguards don't really like it when we're here, but we're just going to stay until they kick us out. And as a lifeguard, I can't condone that, but as the person taking the lesson, greatly appreciated.
So Hawaii, number 1, great place to learn. Your second place was really unique. So we've surfed in Florida on the Atlantic coast. So let's just start with this. If you're going to surf in Florida, you're going to surf on the Atlantic coast because that's where the waves are, not on the Gulf side. So the Atlantic coast is where you want to be, not on the Gulf side.
You're definitely not going to get the waves over there.
They get more weedy over there. But anyway,
nice.
Cocoa, Jacksonville, down by Sebastian Inlet, tons of great places. Florida, however, is weather driven, right? There are flat days. Even when we stay at Disney Vero Beach Resort, there are people surfing in Vero Beach. So up and down the coast.
You can barely boogie board. So it does greatly depend.
However, it is a great place to learn to surf. The water is really warm. Obviously, the home of Ron John Surf Shop right there in Cocoa Beach. So
very classic location.
Classic area and really beginner-friendly waves.
That's true.
There is another option in Florida, and Amelia did. Well, we all did it, but Amelia really took off.
This one's a funny one. I really liked this one.
And what are we talking about?
So this was actually learn to surf in a wave pool. So they had this at one of Disney's water parks, Typhoon Lagoon, and basically what it was is you woke up really early before the water park even opens. They still do it,
so if you want to do it, check it out.
Yeah, and their wave pool ran surf lessons. So they had 3 and 6 foot waves coming periodically, and you learned how to do it. You learned the stance. You went in groups, and you basically took turns hitting all the waves.
When we did it, it was the crew from Ron John and Cocoa Beach. Those were the instructors.
Yeah,
they were amazing.
Knew what they were doing. It wasn't
I'm not sure if it still is today. It's not Disney cast members teaching you to surf.
No, it is experienced actual surf professionals.
And I got to tell you, so you can start with a very small sort of Waikiki style wave. That's the low one Amelia's talking about. But then they ask for those who want to do it, they crank the wave pool up to its biggest wave. And these are serious waves. And it's a little bit scary in a wave pool because it's all calm. First of all, you're the only one in the water, in the whole pool. Maybe one other person.
I think there's 2 people, one on one side, one on the other side. It is very spread out.
And then there's a big kaboom behind you as the wave pool generates that one single massive wave. And it's a sort of scary because you hear it behind you and you know it's coming. But Amelia really got up and took off. This wave was way over her head.
What I liked about this was, again, I was younger. I think I could be wrong here, but I think it was around 9.
Yeah, probably 9
Maybe.
or 10.
Oh, yeah, it was around that age. And what I liked about it was that it was very periodic. Now, this could be scary, but for somebody learning to surf, I think in the ocean, obviously it's unpredictable, and that's what surfing is. But when you're brand new, having like okay, and now the wave is coming, you can prepare a little bit more and you can get used to how to actually ride the wave. And then that's a very transferable skill for if you were to go to the ocean after. And now whenever, if you are caught off guard by the wave, you know what you're doing instead of being caught off guard and not knowing what you're doing.
Because there's one thing when you're surfing, you know when to paddle, because as a wave is approaching behind you, the water starts to pull out and you feel yourself moving backwards because you're on your board sort of ready because you know waves coming.
Another
That's
great
when you
reason
start
an
paddling.
instructor is valuable because they're like, start paddling.
So when the waves are timed for you, you get to learn that feeling. One interesting fun fact before we move to our third and final destination in the USA to surf is that I asked the instructors, is this sort of boring if you're an experienced surfer to come to a wave pool, other than the fact that it's perfect waves to practice on? And they said something I didn't know, which was, no, it's not, because fresh water actually has a different buoyancy than salt water in the ocean.
Let me tell you, a lot easier of a buoyancy, okay?
So it is a little bit different. Their point was, even if you're a pro surfer or a good surfer, it's a little bit different in the wave pool, so it's still a little challenging or a little fun for you because it's a slightly different feel because it's a freshwater wave pool. So super fun either way, on the coast in Florida, in the wave pool, wherever you want to do it. It's warm water, warm weather, really good place to go.
I liked it.
Finally, your most recent lesson to round it out at a third place that is great to take surf lessons in the U.S., which was last summer, I think, just about a year ago right now. And that was where?
California. What a classic.
California, obviously tons of great surfing up and down the coast.
As much as, East Coast surfing is like Ron John and a very important place of surfing, West Coast surfing is very classic, like surfer style, surfer culture, very laid back kind of energy.
And I have to say, there are more quality surf schools up and down the California coast than we've seen, even more than in Hawaii. They're more structured, I find, more organized, just because they're bigger. There's just more people there consistently learning how to surf.
And there's lots of great beaches up and down the coast, like Malibu, Huntington, Newport, of course.
Yeah, even down to La Jolla, San Diego. We've been to all those places. But your surf lesson was in Newport Beach. And why don't you talk about that one? Now, one thing I'll say is you're going to want to wear a rash guard. And we're talking about style. You want to get some nice clothes probably. But the California Ocean, that Pacific Ocean,
it's a little on the chillier side.
I mean,
and by that I mean it's very cold.
Even in the summer.
By that I mean it's very cold. Do we know what the water temp was the day I went?
It's usually upper 60s, low 70s.
Yeah.
Versus Florida can be 88 in the summer.
I was in a full body wetsuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now.
So I went for the very classic, bikini wetsuit kind of style. I would say at least having a rash guard is a good option.
It's one thing to check for your surf school in advance if they're going to supply wetsuits. I will also recommend, if you're going, you're planning a trip, that's what we're talking about, do your online research. All the good schools, reputable schools, have websites. You can see the teachers. Book this a month or two even out if you want a specific day and a specific time slot, because they can fill up.
Yeah.
All right. Talk about your lesson in California.
That's
and then,
a good point.
If you can compare the three, even though they were many years apart.
Yeah, no, it was really, really great. Now, obviously, I am not an expert surfer, seeing as I've had 3 lessons over the course of 10 years. My abilities are limited. However, I had a teacher, very nice, very supportive, lots of good tips and tricks. She would help me a little bit and then kind of back off, let me do a little bit more. The lesson was, I believe, 2 hours.
Yeah, it was pretty long.
It was pretty long. It definitely got tiring by the end. So kind of know yourself, know your own endurance.
Yeah, paddling out and,
that's the thing.
That's why surfers have strong upper bodies.
You don't do that on a snowboard.
You spend more time paddling than you do surfing.
Or a skateboard. And that's my problem because I dance, okay? I'm not like crazy weak or anything, but I don't have arm strength in the same way that I have leg strength. So for me, the paddling was what was killing me. But lots of good tips, lots of good technique and everything like that. I really enjoyed it. I would say this was the one where I probably did the most, even though it was harder than the wave pool. It was a more accurate surf experience, obviously. So I did like that. The waves were pretty good. And I personally appreciated the cold water because it kind of shocks you. It makes you jump up, move faster. The thing is, the warm water can kind of get lazy sometimes. Well, just think about like the surf. The
You know, it was
culture.
funny in California. It was so crowded that you get to learn the lifeguards, and they blew the whistle. And I said, "What does that flag mean?" I asked your instructor, and
Yeah.
she said, "Well, they're telling us to move to the other side of the pier because it's getting too busy now, and the surfers are going to hurt the swimmers potentially when they wipe out and the board goes flying, even though it's on a
valid.
leash." So
As a lifeguard, valid complaint.
really different experience. But I will say, all 3 of those surf lessons in 3 different parts of the U.S. You got up, had an enjoyable time in
Thank you
all
so
3
much.
of them, all 3 great instructors. One thing I'll add is,
I, of course, bought merch from multiple of these spots that
Yeah.
I still own and wear, including the shirt I bought at 6 years old.
when you're talking to your instructor, don't pretend that you know more than you do or try to be a poser or
The
anything
second
like
you
that.
get on that board, they are going to have a very accurate
Yeah.
picture of your surf abilities.
You know, be humble as any good surfer is. And because the more accurately they know your skills, the better they are going to be as an instructor for you. And they're there to ensure you get up and have fun. And they all use these beginner style longboards, sometimes foam, sometimes
course.
not.
I
but
think,
they're more buoyant and
yeah.
they're more
And
stable.
some schools do have options, I think, for different boards,
Yeah,
depending
if
on your availability. So
Absolutely. And
if you
you're
are
advanced,
a more advanced surfer, look for those ones because some schools may or may not have that. So that's something you want to consider if you're not bringing your own board.
So there you go. If you want to go surfing on vacation, these are 3 great spots in the U.S., close to home for anybody really in North America, or if you're coming from overseas and
Yeah.
visiting.
And of course, there's a ton more all over the world, but these are where my my limited expertise lie.
I'll put a link to that other post, and you can see some of the 10 spots we favor around the globe, and all of those do have surf lessons available as
Yes, of
well.
course.
And they all have beginner waves, and they're safe. That was the whole point of
Yes.
that one. So
Although my friend went surfing in California and she goes, I saw a shark, so I didn't go back in there.
I meant safe for tourism.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's a different kind of ocean, but you know,
But
they watch for
again,
those things.
an instructor will see that and kind of lead you away. So
Exactly.
they know the ocean better than you do, probably.
All right, everyone. Thanks as always for listening. We hope you enjoyed this little segue into the world
And wear
of surfing.
sunscreen. Sorry.
Yeah, wear
That's my
sunscreen.
last tip. I did put on sunscreen, but obviously the water's reflecting. Got very burnt. Wear sunscreen.
And check out our coastal collection. That's where all our surf-inspired tees are. We have quite a few of them. So
Yes,
if you
go
want to
take
get
your
some
Instagram
swag to
pics
wear,
before and after.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks as always for listening. Follow along on social media at 1923 Main Street. Visit the shop at 1923mainstreet.com. We will see you again next week. And as always, roam freely and wear boldly.
Bye-bye.